You know that feeling you get when you're crushing your to-do list, but somehow you're the one getting crushed. That's right. Ambitious, high achieving women. I want you to actually pull up a seat for a real conversation about productivity, peace. What if our obsession with productivity, it isn't a time problem, it's an identity problem. I'm Sophia, and I partner with companies and individuals who are watching their top female talent burn out and plateau. I host workshops to help driven women like you lead themselves so powerfully that everything shifts. What shifts? You can climb in corporate without the cost of burnout. You can lead your business without frying yourself on both ends. And you can protect your biggest investment, which is yourself and your high performance. So, Chikama, we're here. Chikama, I want you to tell us about your work and what you do now. Welcome.
Hi, glad to be here. I'm Chikama, aka the Growth and Lisa Online, I'm a productivity coach, and I help business owners increase their consistency through peaceful productivity. And yes, I did start off as a burnout coach because I burnt out super bad from my corporate role. And so for me, it's really been a journey of like understanding what productivity means for me and tailoring my productivity and my ambition and my goals to me and making sure that I have like my ambition and my goals like I'm pouring from a full cup.
Yeah. Well, how do you find or define peace or productivity in a culture that glorifies performance?
Yes. When I think we were kids, right? We used to see ambition as this natural fun thing, right? You want to join gymnastics, you just join the team. You want to join soccer, you just join the team. And there really was no pressure. But then the pressure comes with like other people's expectations, right? Society's expectations, right? Oh, if you're going to be in soccer, you might want to be the best player. You gotta get the promotion. You gotta go for gold. You gotta do all these things. And what it really comes down to is like, are you achieving your goals and working towards your dreams in a way that you wanted to do it? Right. And like remembering that and making sure you're centering yourself. And so I think it is possible to have peace and ambition. Right. I think it's a returning, right? It's not even I don't even think something new. I think it's like unlearning all the toxic productivity that we've learned and
Mm.
relearning what it means for you personally, your productivity personally.
Yeah, I like that you called it toxic productivity because
Yeah.
just for those who just for those who are with us, I know that you feel good. I feel good when I achieve something, right? And sometimes it's like a high. You just want more
Yes.
of
That
it.
dopamine.
Yes, right, right, right. But it's like, how do you decipher what? That's the question that we have to figure out, like how you decipher good productivity from productivity that doesn't serve you. And I think actually I want to unpack like how do
Yeah.
you prioritize when everything feels urgent? Because we have
Yeah.
these smartphones everywhere, right? People expect us to
Yeah.
respond so quickly to things. We have our email, we have notifications. Like what are your thoughts on that? Like,
Yeah. One part, the first part of the peaceful productivity framework, the P is for prioritized plans, right? So when everything feels urgent, it's up to you to prioritize based off of your fundamentals, your primary and your accessory goals, right? What's fundamental is that as humans, we need sleep, we need to
yeah,
work out, we need to take care of our mental health and our physical health and our emotional health and all those things. And so I really make sure that the priority is you first and foremost, right? And so when everything feels urgent, you have to put it through a filter, right? And that filter is your priorities, right? So when things come in and they're urgent, you're filtering through your own priorities and determining, okay, was it actually urgent or not? I think when we don't have our goals and our ambitions prioritized, when we're not prioritizing ourselves, everything feels urgent because there is no lens to see it through. But when you have the proper filter and the proper lens, then you have more clarity around what to do next.
yeah, yeah. And I never thought to take a moment to ask myself, like, what's one expectation that's secretly draining my peace, right?
Mhm.
Because if I could use that filter or that lens to help me prioritize, I don't know about you, but when I was working my corporate job, and even now as a business owner, I feel like everyone else wants a piece. They want a piece of Sophia. It's like now,
Yeah.
now, now, right? And taking a beat to pause and put it through my filter, like, is this giving me joy? Is this a value add right now? I mean, that's
Yeah.
so critical Tell me more about your peace framework. Like what, okay, so the P is prioritize plans. What's the E, the A, the C, the
Yes.
E?
Yeah. So peace, 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 prioritize plans, embrace your humanity, autopilot it, your focus, compound your productivity, and engineer your environment, right? And those things what make up what I call the peaceful productivity framework. It's all about making sure that you have the priorities, making sure you're embracing your humanity, making sure that you're humanizing your time and centering yourself in your work,
Mm,
right? Making sure you have your focus on autopilot so that it doesn't matter whether or not you're in a good mood or a bad mood. You just kind of plug and pay. You just show up as you are, and the results create themselves, right? And then compounding your productivity is about understanding that, hey, just improving 1%, right? We're not trying to make leaps and bounds in progress in one day or one week. We're just trying to be 1% better than the last day. And by doing 1% better, we end up 2xing and 3xing our productivity, right? Productivity compounds on itself. It's like interest rates, right?
mm,
And engineering your environment, right? It's about taking an engineering mindset to your life, almost having a level of awareness and taking field notes on your life in a way that's more scientific and experimental, right? And so, whenever you're doing something, you're kind of reverse engineering your goals based off what you want, right? And so, you're setting up your environment in a way that triggers your success versus like having your environment just happen to you.
yeah.
And I think when you take those, couple things, you have a productivity that feels natural and authentic to you. You have a productivity that allows you to reach your goals, right? That allows you to be ambitious, that allows you to like climb the ladder or grow your business in a way that's peaceful and feels calming versus
Yeah.
being filled with anxiety and anxious and like urgency, right? I feel like one thing that the toxic productivity, the hustle and grind teaches us, like, oh, is either hustle culture or nothing, right? You're either hustling to the moon, grinding, like doing all the things, or you're like being like laissez-faire, like letting the universe happen to you, right? I think there's something in the middle. There's a balance there. And when you reach that balance, you're able to be productive and reach your goals without destroying yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I think out of the framework, out of all I guess the pillars, what
Hmm.
my favorite one is embrace your humanity, only
Yeah.
because I think in just with everything going on, we treat ourselves like machines, right? Go, go, go. I can remember being on back-to-back meetings and like my bladder is crying, like, please, like, can we have a bio break? Right. But you don't want to be the person to ask, like, is it okay if we start the next meeting 5 minutes late? Or even
Yeah.
typing out like, guys, can we, I will be 5 minutes late because I need a bio
Yeah.
break. So I love the framework, but I really love just embracing your humanity. And for me, if I can kind of phrase that for me, frame it for me, it just means like understanding that they're just basic needs that you have as a human and you
Yeah.
aren't a machine. So for instance, like I love sunlight. So I try to
Yeah.
find windows, you know what I mean? To make sure that I know I'm not only am I getting the sun while I'm sitting at my desk, but I'm soaking in the sunshine because that's like my energy factor.
Yeah.
So I love that you incorporated that in there because often, again, we treat ourselves like machines. And
Yeah.
when we're so focused on being productive and getting the next thing done, especially us go-getters, right? Us high
Yeah.
achievers. Come on, raise your hand, drop a me in the comments. If you know that's you, you gotta achieve. Um, but the other thing I wanted to ask about in your framework is like, so many women take on endless actions and call it progress, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes action, it becomes an addiction. So I liked
Yeah.
your comment there, the C, about compounding productivity, right? It's not about, going from 0 to 100, but just making small tweaks. I think my question for you
Yeah.
is like, where is the line between movement and momentum, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we have these massive to-do lists that we're trying to get
Yeah.
like inbox zero, right? And there is no why behind that, right? I feel like it's
Hmm.
cliche, but understanding your why is so important when you're doing things on your to-do list or taking like on task, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the things on your to-do list are just not important to you, right? But you're forcing yourself to do it and you're shaming yourself and you're guilting yourself and you're adding all this pressure and anxiety on yourself because,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta finish my to-do list. if your to-do list isn't prioritized, it
Mhm.
doesn't really matter, right? Because
Yeah.
the to-do list is never ending, right? There's always going to be errands to run or things to do or blah 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 to
Yeah.
the end of time, right?
Yeah.
When your to-do list hits zero, you're dead. Okay, right? Like, hello, like, and I feel like once you accept that your to-do list is going to be an ever growing thing, ever changing, look at your to-do list. Think about it. Look at your to-do list today, and look at your to-do list what it was a year ago, right?
Yeah.
It felt just as urgent. It felt just as important. It felt just as like nerve wracking as it did last year, 2 years before that, a decade ago, right?
Yeah.
Because to-do lists are these to-do lists when they are not prioritized or filtered through again, like your lens, right? Filtered through your priorities, are just these massive lists of anxiety, right? Of things I should do, I could do, I want to do. You need to narrow down your to-do list and
Mhm.
focus on the 20% of things. And then yes, I do
Yeah.
mean 20% of things that are actually going to impact your goals, like your goals, Sophia,
Yeah.
your goals, right? And
Yeah.
everything else can fall to the wayside. And that doesn't mean you don't do it. It just means you don't pressure yourself and shame yourself for not doing it as
Yes.
quickly as you do the other
Yes.
things.
Yes. Because I agree 100% because
Yeah.
sometimes I see these productivity frameworks, unintentionally they keep women in the burnout loop. Like I
Yeah.
love how you reframed a to-do list as like it's like an anxiety list. Like no,
Yes.
everything won't get done, right? And
Yes.
instead of replacing one should for another, like you have to make sure that your approach doesn't become another to-do list in disguise, right? Like
Yeah.
focusing on yourself. And I like how you pointed out, like take 20% of that and put it through the filter and figure out
Yeah.
what works for you.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to challenge just those who are interested in a productivity coach or productivity
Yeah.
hack is to do a self-reflection. And I just want to ask, like, have you ever stayed busy just to avoid feeling behind, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes that's a crutch. It's an enabler. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I could do less, but then what will I do with all this free time? Like,
Yes.
no,
Yeah.
sometimes it's okay to be still. Sometimes it's okay to just enjoy the coffee and stare out of a window. Sometimes it's okay
Yeah.
to not have it all done today because just like you
Yes.
said, the list grows. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, like how you think I got burnt out in the first place, right? That type of thinking, right? Attaching your identity to what you've done or attaching your identity to work, right? Your worth to your work
Yeah.
creates burnout,
Yeah.
right? And so what it was is like you get burnt out from doing that because you realize no matter how much work you do, it won't make you feel more worthy. that's a whole that's a whole podcast there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you reach that kind of the rock bottom of that courage, you gotta like understand, okay, maybe my work and what I do in a day isn't actually attached to my worth. And so what makes me worthy? What makes me feel good, right? Because what happens is you get stuck in the to-do list trap of like, okay, I didn't finish my to-do list and therefore I feel like crap, right?
Mm.
Or I didn't finish my to-do list and therefore I don't feel like enough. And so you go to bed every day feeling like you're not enough because you didn't do XYZ. And it's like you were enough at the beginning of the day in the morning, you're enough in the middle, you're enough on your worst day, on your best day, and all the days in between, right? And so detaching and like humanizing your time, embracing your humanity, right? Helps you understand that this to-do list is separate from me, right?
Yeah.
That's something that I'm choosing to do, that I want to do, that, I'm excited about. But whether I do those things or not, I'm still me.
Yes, absolutely. And also, what gets me is for high performing women, high performing women, we get a high, we get a rush, we get that
Yeah.
dopamine right off of the wins, because you were able to knock things off of that to do list. But sometimes we need to actually celebrate not getting it done, right? Because if you want to
Yes.
pivot, you have to celebrate the messy middle, right? That
Yes.
empty feeling you get like, man, I didn't get it all done. Yes, I didn't get it
Yes.
all done. That's okay. I'm actually going to go and have lunch and get away from my screen.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go, and meet my friend at a coffee shop because humanity is important to me. Taking
Yeah.
care of myself and nurturing myself is it's really what's important to me.
Yeah.
And related, unrelated, I was watching a documentary on I can't remember what streaming platform it was on, but it was about blue zones, people who live to be
Yes.
100 and they have a lot of things in common. But one thing that really stood out to me was they have a good social circle. They have community around them. And
Yeah.
what I found, at least within myself, is when I'm so hyper focused on the to-do list, I start like elbowing all my friends, all my family, all these engagements. It's like, no, guys, I can't do it. No, I'm not going to answer my text messages. No. And then my world is like so small.
Yeah.
And until you open it up and leave room for humanity, for laughter, for small habits, small
Yeah.
changes, you don't change and you stay stuck.
Yeah. And you know why you feel like that bubble kind of shrink, right? Because in order for you to believe
Mhm.
that your work is your worth, you have to literally eliminate everything else. Anything that reminds you that there's more to life than
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
has to be isolated. Because it can't if you can't believe that idea and be outside socializing with your friends, right? So your brain is kind of automatically shielding itself from the contradictions to your thinking.
hmm No, absolutely. So I wanted to ask, what books kind of are like rocking your world around these topics? Because
Yeah.
often people are like, "This is great, but I want to dive deep into this. Like, where can I get more? Like, what
Yeah.
books are you really into about burnout or just productivity?"
One of my favorite books is 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for
Oh
Humans,
no, not
by
4,000 weeks.
um and I just love it because it really opens up your idea of time, right? Beyond like the 9 to 5 and beyond all the work and all the emails and all the to-do lists and all that things. It just opens up your mind to what time is and what time could be.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of burnout books that I love. The Burnout Cycle, Emily
Oh,
Nagoski, I think.
but wait,
And
wait,
like I feel
let me jump in before you keep going because I'm happy you have an awesome list.
yeah.
But 4,000 Weeks, I think it's by Oliver Berkman.
Yes.
That book is pretty cool, right? I appreciate the fact that he talks about, time flows like a river, right? Seeing it like a river that flows past us. But I think time, honestly, it's a construct that our society, it revolves around.
Yeah.
So we have to, if time were a river, like we would feel like we're drowning in it unless we kind of weave time into our day, right? Or at least find a way to operate around time, And I just feel like time as a constraint, as a river, I just see it as like this unending thing. And oh my goodness, I got to get more done. So how do you reframe that from someone who kind of sees like, oh man, instead of it being relaxing, I feel rushed because time is scarce and I got to do everything possible.
Yeah. I see that same concept of like time is river, and I think that's relaxing. I think that's
Okay.
like, okay, whether or not like I'm go, 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 or I'm resting on the shore, time is gonna move anyway, right? Like
Okay.
time is like whether or not I reach this goal, time will pass. Whether or not I do this thing, time will pass. And I feel like it lets you let go of all the pressure and lets you relax. It lets you like it also lets me feel like my dreams are coming anyway, right? Whether or not the
Mm,
dream comes today
okay.
or tomorrow, the dream is
Okay.
coming, right? Time is passing, right? And so as long as I keep working and being productive and really thinking critically about my actions and making sure I'm prioritizing things correctly, the goals and the results are coming, right? And so I feel like for me, it's a calming feeling that comes with that idea because I just feel like once you let it just lets that idea of time allows me to let go, allows me to not have to like white knuckle all my deadlines and all
Yes.
my
Yeah.
you know my schedule, and it just lets you have a feeling of peace because you understand that some things are in your control, some things are out of control, and unfortunately and unfortunately, right, time is out of our control, right? Time is passing, time is moving on, and so what you can control is your actions in the present, but
Yeah.
you can't control how fast it comes or how slow it comes.
Yeah. No, no, no. You know what, since you unpacked it that way, it gave me a completely different reframe. You're right. Like if I slow my pace and understand that time is happening, right? And
Yeah.
not only is it, yes, it's beyond my control, but if I'm taking these small steps, these micro steps, things will come to me.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, sorry, I interrupted you. What other books did you say that you
The
read?
burnout cycle. I feel like when I was deep in burnout,
Yeah.
that was the popular book when I was in my burnout stage, and I feel like it really kind of put a name to a lot of the things that we feel as women, right? Like I think burnout for women is different than burnout for men. I also think that, women are more susceptible to burnout because of the way, society is societying. And I think that book put a name to a lot of the systems at play, right? That create burnout
Yeah,
for women.
yeah, and I like that book too. It's funny, we've read two of the same book.
Yes.
It's okay, it's okay, okay. I like that book also because it frames burnout as a cycle. For
Yes.
me, when I was in the midst of my burnout, I worked a very high visibility role, the C-suite, the CFO, the CEO, all those people came to me and my team to put together reports. So
Yeah.
they had little patience and I had to, bite my tongue. I had to be respectful, all of those things. But I saw burnout as a wall that I hit. I'm burned out, it's over, and I crumble, right? But
Yeah.
in this book, you're right, she names it and she identifies the different phases of the burnout cycle. And
Yeah.
she helped me realize that that cycle needs to complete for you to get out of it. Because
Yeah.
one thing I was doing is after work, I would get on those exercise bikes or go to a
Mhm.
cycling class because I'm like, yeah, I just got to keep going. I got to get out all
Yeah.
this pent out energy. But I didn't realize that my nervous system was already at a heightened level. And me
Yeah.
getting on that bike was just heightening it even more. I needed
Yeah.
to counter it with something else. So um, it reminds me, sometimes you need a vacation from the vacation. And sometimes, you went from work, you need something
Yeah.
to help you completely control alt delete, right? Not something that
Yeah.
continues to ramp you up.
Because especially
So
as women, we think we can skip steps. You can skip over that. Like,
yeah,
okay, I'm going to decide to skip the relaxation and skip the kind of the regulation and like move on. And there are some things you can't move past or move on.
yeah,
You're going to keep, if you want to escape that cycle, if you want to escape that cycle and break that chain, you really have to address the root of the problem and go through all the steps
yeah.
versus trying to skip and hop over things that are unavoidable.
No, no, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing. That's why we're having this conversation. I'm so glad
Yeah.
we bumped into each other because I feel like we are all experiencing these things in silos, right? We
Yeah.
complain to our friends, our girlfriends, we complain to our coworkers, right? And yes, we're venting, but no one really has solutions. We're just like,
Mhm.
hey, it's gonna get better. Don't worry. I'm here for
Yeah.
you. I'm glad you were able to get that out. But we have to talk about solutions. And often people don't even think about a productivity coach or a burnout coach or even a
Yeah.
coach in general. People are looking to HR. They're looking to human resources. They're looking to leadership, their manager. They're looking to sometimes they look at their communities, their religious communities, uh,
Yeah.
to give them guidance. But I mean,
Yeah.
this may be counter, but it's within, right? It's what is
Yeah.
important to you and what are you filtering out and what are you filtering into your world? Oh man.
Yeah.
Since you're throwing out books, let me throw out one
Mhm.
that I really like. It's the book Gentle by Courtney Carver. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of that. You put it on my reading list for me.
Yes, basically, what gets me is she talks a lot about resting through instead of pushing through. And when you look at it from that lens, like if you look at your calendar and strategically plan rest through your day, through your week, how does
Yeah.
work fit into it? Because when you start with those as the pillars, right?
Yeah.
You start the day saying, I will have a 30-minute lunch today. I will step away from my screen. I will have a movement break. Then you kind of see those meetings differently.
Yeah.
You're more apt to raise your hand and say, "Hey, I need a bio break." Or
Mhm.
maybe you decline the meeting that got booked over your lunch hour again
Yeah.
because, you keep conceding to everyone else's expectations and leaving yourself on empty. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, so I wanted to ask, like, what practices, what's lighting you up these days? Like, what practices are you doing, or what projects are you working on
Yeah.
that brings either productivity or peace to your day? Just
I'm
curious.
really enjoying right now, especially for the month of October, is identifying all the versions of rest that are open to me and available to me and identifying the type of rest I need at that moment.
Mm,
Sometimes you need a mental rest, right? You're on the computer all the time, or you're taking a lot of emails and calls, and you need to take a mental break, right?
yeah,
Sometimes
yeah,
you need physical rest, right? A
yeah.
physical break, right? Away from all the, walking to meetings and all the, the physical labor you're doing, right? And
Yeah.
so for me, there's something new that I'm exploring is like there are kind of seven types of rest: physical, mental, spiritual, and a bunch of more, right? And for me, I'm trying to be more aware of like the type of rest I need in the moment and really putting a name to it and addressing it based on the type of rest I am seeking.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, because it kind of goes to that burnout cycle, right? That I was mentioning.
Yeah.
Like, what do I need in this moment? Because what I found, what I thought was a solution in that point, because everyone else was telling me, go to this cycle class, you're going to love it. That's not what I needed, right? That wasn't the
Yeah,
type of rest that I needed. And
exactly.
yeah, I guess for those who are with us or eavesdropping, I mean, I want to ask you, like, what's something you can do differently this week to protect your peace? What can you do to just recenter yourself
Yeah,
this month or just this week, because often we hear all of these great things and we never take them to action, right? So
yeah,
I really enjoyed our time together. And I'm so happy we were able to hop on to share just this conversation with others. Uh, and one thing that I'm taking away is, am I chasing peace or am I creating it through the way that I work,
yes.
right?
I
Like,
I think I think for me, it comes down to two things, like awareness and action, right? It's one thing to be aware of burnout and be aware of something's going on or be aware that, oh, I'm tired or I need a break. And it's another thing to take action on it. And when you pair those two together, it's
yeah,
a very powerful duo
yeah.
because I think once you take action on things, you can really start to address things and learn from things, right? I like to tell people that it's not about winning or losing, it's about winning and learning, right? You take an action and you win and it solves a problem. Great. You take an action and you learn and maybe you learn, okay, maybe that's not the right way to do it. Let me try it this way, right? And through that cycle of winning and learning and taking action and winning and learning and taking action and winning and learning, you develop and start to grow in a way that is accelerated, right? You're not just waiting for things to happen to you, you're taking action on them and you're learning along the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I would just piggyback and make sure that you celebrate those small wins along the way.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm growing. Is this uncomfortable? Yes. But am I growing? Yes. Like we have our brain is just wired and it's conditioned. Whatever we repeat, it believes and then
Yeah.
it starts multiplying. So sometimes when you are trying something different or you're trying to just break out of this burnout cycle, you're trying a new this productivity framework and you're like,
Yeah.
this is not working, you have to find the positive and you have to celebrate it. And often that's hard, right? But
Yeah.
it's those small steps. I have to ask, I need you to subscribe because that's how I know that this content rocks and it signals to me to keep making more of it. So, where can people find you? If they're looking for you, if they want to learn more about your framework?
Yes, you can find me at Growthalista online or at growthalista.com. That's growlista.com. And that's where you'll find me.
Yeah, I love this. And if you're a high performer and you're feeling like high performance is costing you your peace, I've got tools to help you lead yourself differently. I host a masterclass. I'll put it in the notes here. There's one coming up soon, and I would love to have you join because the more we talked about this, but the more we have conversations about burnout, about productivity, about doing too much, we help each other and we climb out of it together.